Welcome to Team More Wine, sir, the Game of Thrones Guerrilla Cast for Boomtron's Optionated. I'm Elena, with me is Rachel, and we're here today to talk about the latest episode. So crack open a bottle like we just did, and sit back and listen in while we ramble and curse our way through a dissection of the episode. So, Ghost of Harrenhal, halfway through. What's going on?
I think, we're halfway through, and I definitely want to know what you think, how it's setting up. But I think that this episode is going to be the marker for people who like the show and for people who don't like the show, because I know so many people who are either really, really happy or they're like, fuck this show, fuck it in the ass, I don't care anymore, fuck it. And then they just slam the door and walk out real angry.
Wow, okay, I'm in the happy camp because I was like, this episode's the best one yet. This is awesome. I can see what Rachel meant about it just keeps going, being awesome. Yeah.
You were not surprised in the first 5 minutes. I thought that was really weird that they split up. Not that weird because leaving off with Melisandre birthing the shadow baby is kind of super cool, but at the same time it's kind of stupid to open with Renly dying. I thought that was weird and anticlimactic.
It was, but I understand why they split it that way, because Shadow Baby was so what the fuck over the top. It kind of overshadowed his death, and I think they wanted to end it on a high note. And then I was expecting Shadow Baby to take over the army or something and possess them, so that Stannis was then going to have 100,000-man demon army or something. And I'm like, shit.
Because you're thinking about fantasy, you're not thinking about Game of Thrones, and the answer in Game of Thrones is always someone's going to die.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So to me, getting subsumed into basically a zombie or a demon possession is the same as dying if you're not in control of your mind or life anymore. So I figured it was going to be, 100,000 people dying. Instead, it was just Renly, and that was kind of, it was kind of a letdown after the what the fuckery that Shadow Baby was.
Right, but Stannis only had 14 guys. He needed some other dudes so he can march on King's Landing, right?
Yeah, and I really appreciated Davos' point about if she basically if you take her to King's Landing, then she's the one who's going to win the throne, not you. The whole you won the men from your brother, don't lose them to her.
Yeah. She's charismatic. Well, this is another deviation from the book. In the book, and this goes back to did Stannis and Melisandre have sex or not, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't seem like Stannis knows what killed Renly, that he doesn't know about the Shadow Baby. And Davos certainly isn't I'm in a cave and I saw this happen and we should talk about it, because he's kind of like, my lord, I have something to say. And he's like, shut the fuck up, Davos. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, poor Davos. He just wanted to tell everybody tell his friend Stannis how fucked up Shadow Baby was. He just needed to talk about it.
He just needed to talk about it. He just needs a little therapy session. But it's funny because Stannis doesn't, he seems kind of genuinely sad that his brother is dead, and sort of regretful that he died. At the same time, he's like, sweet, there's one thing that I don't have to deal with anymore. Mm-hmm. So he sort of seems like he doesn't really know who killed Renly, which is why it's significant when Brienne is like, it was Stannis, it looked like Stannis, But, whatever. Some people are more hooting and hollering about that.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit of willful ignorance, that he just didn't want to know exactly. Oh yeah,
he's like, don't tell me, because if you don't tell me, then I can say I don't know.
Yeah, what a fucking politician, right?
Right. He's all about the paper. He wants to do it by the book, right? But as long as it appears to be by the book.
Well, my brother fortuitously died, and I just happened to be offshore to come take control of his army. I mean, that's right and natural. That is as it should be.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
I am the proper king, after all.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of my imposter king brothers, Kingsguard, understood that. That's right and proper. I'm Stannis.
Uh-huh. So what did you think about Brienne's reaction?
I kind of wondered why she and Kat were so certain everyone was going to assume she did it. I mean, on the one hand, the whole a shadow came out of the night and killed him, and there's no evidence. And I guess with Brienne being Brienne, if she's in the tent with him, you can't really claim the whole, oh, assassin got a drop on me and killed him before I knew what was going on or could stop him.
Right.
So I but I wouldn't have expected that to be the immediate reaction. Like, obviously I just needed a minute there to sort of think through the logic. So for that to be her just instinctive, immediate, I have to get out of here, was weird. But,
well, two things. She fucked herself over when she killed the guards that were outside the tent.
Right.
That doesn't look good.
Right.
It wasn't me, but I did kill these guys. And two, nobody likes her because she's a lady knight, so she's got that working against her anyways.
Mm-hmm. But I liked her decision to go off with Catelyn and sort of be her escort. At least it's an honorable disposition. And hey, Catelyn was in the tent too, and she and Renly were not. Who knows how their negotiations went? Maybe Catelyn did it. She's kind of crazy and stark, grief-mad widow. Shit.
Yeah, she's already been going all over Westeros accusing innocent people of horrible things and
starting wars. And God knows what she's gonna do next. So
yeah, poor Catelyn. When it's not even her fault, it's her fault.
Yeah, but I actually really thought they had a beautiful moment when later on in the episode, I guess it was their second scene, when Brienne is basically saying, I need to go back, and Catelyn's trying to convince her, well, why don't you come fight for my side, because we have the same enemies. And Brienne does it, and she says, I'll fight for you, my lady, as long as you promise to slip my leash when it's time. And you know, I don't like Catelyn in the books, but in the show, again, I think it's not having to be in her mind as much. I can appreciate her moments of grace a little better. And I thought that was a really lovely thing that a vow she made back to Brienne, which was, you know, you will always have a place in my house and at my table. I'll never ask you to dishonor yourself. Like, that is what Brienne wants. That's what she needs. She wants a place to belong where nobody's going to force her to do something that's against her moral code. And I was like, wow, Kat, that was amazingly insightful into this woman's heart.
I think that was the dignity of the North coming through. That's how a Northern person takes a vow. Instead of, I don't know, something like Tywin, how he would take it, which would be like, do what I fucking want you to do or I'm killing you.
Right.
It's interesting because it makes sense. Like, Brienne's not going to go fight for Stannis, and Renly's certainly not going to allow her to hang out with him, so she doesn't really have anywhere else to go, and Catelyn's on the run because, you know, nobody likes her anyway, and she needs somebody to help her get back to Robb. So they're together. They're Thelma and Louise of Westeros.
That would be awesome if that's actually how that went. I don't know. I don't expect that to be the case. Nobody seems to get the great side adventures. I mean, the side adventure of Arya and Gendry has already come to a sad conclusion, or at least it's been put a stop to for now, and I expect that next episode they'll be meeting with somebody. I don't know if Catelyn will actually get home or if they'll find Robb, but I imagine they'll be somewhere and not just hanging out on the road on their, you know, we're holier than thou tour.
They're holy, and that is, I don't know what you're talking about. That's exactly what they do. They just go around judging people. They just stop in at every holdfast and an inn and farm, and they're like, you, come out and be judged by us.
We are more honorable than you are.
we have women's courage, we have men's courage, we have warrior courage.
We have the courage of the North. We have the courage of the South. We have everything. We're better than you.
They are. I mean, they truly think that. But speaking, do you want to talk about Arya and Gendry then? We can skip around.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to go next. At the horror that is Harrenhal.
Yeah, so what did you think? Well, there were two main things, right? Well, three, I guess. We've got shirtless Gendry, which is a topic in and of itself. Arya being confronted by Tywin. And
my strange attraction to Jaqen H'ghar.
And your strange attraction to Jaqen H'ghar, which is not so strange.
Well, I looked at some pictures of the man that they cast to play him when he's not being Jaqen H'ghar. I'm like, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they basically found the most, like, beautifully sculpted man, like, in his features that they could to play this part, and maybe that's how you sell a sociopath to your audience, or just you make him pretty, and you're like, okay, I'm fine.
I'm with him. He's like Dexter.
Yeah, exactly.
Westeros. All right, well, shirtless Gendry. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, that was really exciting. I'm glad that they did that for us.
And Arya just sitting there proving that she's still a kid because she's like, whatever, I've seen my brothers doing this. You're doing it wrong. And you're like, no, Charlotte's Gendry's doing it right. Don't turn it aside, please, because then we can't.
Oh, come on. She gave him a little look-see. There was definitely a little look-see that happened.
Maybe. It's like that memory away, girl. You're going to appreciate it in 5 years. I'm just saying.
I liked that she echoed Sirio when she said side face. That was nice. It's like, oh, he's still there with her.
It was a nice callback, and kudos to her for not getting sad about it, because she's like, he's gone, and that's sad, but hey, I'm in fucking Harrenhal, and I can't afford it right now.
She's got better things to worry about.
Yeah,
like Tywin calling her out on being a northerner.
Yes, and oh man, I couldn't figure out when she was going on about Robb if she'd actually heard what people are saying about him, or if she was just making shit up. She's like, what's plausible for them to say about my brother if he's kicking their ass?
I think she had heard that, because there are definitely prisoners that they've picked up, because he's out fighting Robb's men, right? So they're probably passing that along.
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome. The whole, he rides on a direwolf, he turns into a direwolf.
Which we know from Bran might not be so crazy to think.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if that was Grey Wind or Robb who took out the flatulent guards last episode.
Right, exactly. That's interesting. No, I like that scene. And as you said, she's team more water.
Absolutely. But I think my favorite moment of that scene was where she basically threatens Tywin. She's like, everyone can die. And just delivers it deadpan and just looks him straight in the eye as she says it. And he looks her back, and it's like this recognition of like, oh shit, this girl could kill somebody.
Yes, but he can't actually be afraid of a little girl in front of people. So he's just got to let it go.
And I don't think he's actually afraid of it. I think at his age and his kind of level of badass motherfuckery, he just found it kind of cute and endearing. But it was, I think, a recognition of a kindred spirit. And
but I'm saying, like, he can't acknowledge that he can't say, oh, are you going to threaten me, girl? I feel like that would make him lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I took it as more he's going to be like, oh, that's the daughter I should have had.
Yeah.
Instead of the one I ended up with.
I don't know. Maybe Cersei was a little bit like Arya. She said herself, you know, in the first season, that she was the wild one. She was the one that would jump off cliffs. And
oh, did she? Because I was remembering her discussion about her wedding night to Robert Baratheon, and basically I took it as she used to be like Sansa until he crushed her dreams.
Well, I mean, someday. Well, let's assume that if Arya hadn't become a runaway boy, girl, Harrenhal person, that she eventually would have done what 90% of other tomboys do, and get a little bit girly and discover boys and all that stuff.
Yeah, and discover how much they love it.
Although she seems to be discovering some quality boys on her own.
Well, I mean, if Gendry's going to be parading around half naked, I expect her, road to discovery is pretty short. And then, it's discovered. Boom.
Strangely warm, even though winter has come. It's just weird. Hard work. So Jaqen H'ghar.
Yes. Wow.
Given her three lives that she can call for.
Yeah, and I know that by the end of her litany, she'd added the tickler onto that list, but I kind of feel like she spoke his name first as a test.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, she just wanted to make sure that this guy was legit and he was going to be able to follow through, because, you don't say, go kill King Joffrey when it's someone that you don't really know, and so, saying kill the tickler, and then if he does it, that kind of establishes a trust between them.
Yes.
And
he's done so, and now she knows that the next two people that she names, that he will kill them.
Yes, and that maybe, you get one wish and it's kind of the blow-off wish.
He's like the best genie. He's definitely a Westeros genie. Like, you get 3 wishes, but instead of getting shit, you just get to kill people.
3 names the man has said.
So weird, talking to himself in the third person and the two-tone hair. I mean, just by description, he shouldn't really be so alluring, but he is. Like, even book Jaqen is super hot.
Well, what he is he's charismatic. He's this enigma, and he's obviously dangerous and possibly crazy, or possibly just so far beyond the normal morality that he might as well be crazy, even though he's perfectly rational.
Right.
And he is fascinating because he's not like everyone else. Whatever he is, he's not like everyone else, and that's always inherently fascinating.
I guess so, or it's just because he's got pretty lips. I don't know.
Or that, and a nice jaw. And I liked that his two-tone hair wasn't like entirely half of his head, which is how you described it. What it looked like.
Well,
to
in
me,
the book, it's like one side is red and one side is white.
Yeah, and here they were like, he's one of those weird people that has that random patch of hair that went white really early for some reason. And I've actually had a friend that had a streak like that, and so it does happen, and that looks a little more plausible.
Right, like Rogue.
Still striking and weird, but not, why is half your head white and not the other half?
Right. Well, okay, speaking of weird people who might not be all there, how's Cersei doing?
Oh my god. Okay. The one comment I made in my little note-taking watching this episode was, is she fucking retarded? With the whole, Joffrey is in charge of the defenses. Like, seriously, are you fucking retarded? Your son is, I don't even care if he's supposed to be 17 in this. He's not Robb Stark. He's not leading an army. He was not trained for that. He was trained in statesmanship. Actually, I don't even think he was really trained in that. He was trained in indulging his whims. And I don't care how good he is at abusing horse. That is not the same thing as tactically, like, knowing how to defend your city against a besieging army. And I was just like, what the fuck is your problem, woman? Are you fucking retarded?
Well, I don't know. I mean, let's pretend that Cersei has a brain and she's still alive and still canny, and she's got to have a little bit of brain left.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she's just fucking with Tyrion and saying, you know what, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to go do this the hard way.
Yeah. I'm sure that she is. It's not like it was hard for him to find out.
Yeah.
But
he just had to go ask Roy Dotrice. I don't know if you recognized him. The guy that played the pyromancer.
He looked familiar, but I could not place him.
He's done bit roles on stuff, but he's known to the fandom because he does the narration of all the audiobooks.
Oh shit! Well, that's a cool tie-in.
Yeah, so he got to be the pyromancer, which is best role ever. he just wants to see things burn.
And he had such a great deadpan as well. I have not conducted this experiment.
I will try it later. I will pee on some. I will pee on some of this and see.
I mean, at his age, what use does he have for it? So you might as well,
It's totally scary to think that there is all of that, all of that fire underneath the city. Yeah. It could just totally explode and kill everyone.
If there's an earthquake, they're done. Like, the city's gone. But I will say, after I saw that room of fire, I was like, okay, maybe Cersei's not quite so stupid as I thought. If you have that in your pocket, maybe you don't really need a strategy for defending your walls. You just burn everyone that's coming at you.
Which is like the Targaryen way of fighting.
Yes. Although, what happens when, you burn Stannis' army, but then what happens when Robb Stark marches on you? Do you still have enough to burn them too?
Exactly.
I don't know. So, that room, though, it reminded me of the warheads on a nuclear sub, because I have a family member who's a submarine officer, so I've gotten to tour one, and that's what that reminded me of. It's just like pocket after pocket after pocket, and they're all nuclear warheads, and you're just like, shit. This one sub could fuck up the world. Whoa.
Yeah, and you're just kind of standing there staring at it.
Yeah, and that was exactly what this reminded me of.
Well, it's based on the Greek fire, right, which supposedly existed. So it could, it burned even when it was wet, all that good stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely an ace in the hole for Tyrion in the defense of King's Landing, when King's Landing seems to be something that would be hard to defend, because it's kind of sprawling and it's grown, and it used to be that defensible castle, but the Targaryens had dragons.
Yeah.
So they could be a little less secure. It's not Dragonstone by any means.
Right.
I don't know. I loved the scene where he was talking to Lancel, and he's in that tiny, like, it was like a Barbie-sized caravan, and he's just kind of crouching in it.
Yeah, his litter. I was surprised that we didn't actually get to see the men who were carrying him around on their shoulders. But that was basically Tyrion and Bronn visit the set of Rome. that whole sequence.
Yeah, I totally see that. It's like, today we're going to everybody on Rome. We're going to have a day of Game of Thrones shooting.
Yes.
Extra pay.
But that conversation with Lancel was hilarious. Even torturing you is boring. Get out.
Get out. And then he's just like, he has to crawl out on his hands and knees. That just doesn't seem dignified.
Nothing about Lancel is dignified. That's the thing. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. You know, was told to do whatever Cersei wants, and then as Tyrion so eloquently reminded him, do you think being honest with me now is going to make my brother more or less likely to kill you when he finds out you're fucking Cersei?
Oh man, poor Lancel. He's gonna have to run. If I were Lancel, I would have run already.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how. Is he depending on the Lannister family motto to protect him? I mean, Tywin said it very well. If you were not since you're my cousin, I might even let you wake up from that sleep. Like, obviously they don't punish their own even when they know they should be punished.
I don't know. Do you think that Jaime works by that rule?
I don't think Jaime works by that rule, no. But is Tyrion actually going to tell Jaime, or is Tyrion going to hold that over Lancel's head for the rest of his poor, miserable life?
That is true. I think Tyrion would tell Jaime, just because the battle between Tyrion and Cersei seems to be pretty cutthroat.
Yeah. And he loves Jaime and hates Cersei, so if he could possibly drive Jaime away from her.
But that would make Jaime sad, and he loves his brother.
Mm-hmm. And his sister.
His whole fucking family. And their money. He loves their money most of all. I also liked the scene in which Bronn and Tyrion are strolling with no guards at all, totally available to all of this crazy schizophrenic homeless people that live in Flea Bottom to attack. They're just doing their thing.
Well, that's how much of a bamf Bronn is. He doesn't need anybody else.
Oh, I think that you can put that in the same scene as when there's like 3 guys in the woods for the royal hunt. You know, and like, it's just weird. There was always like so many extras, but they couldn't dress the extras as guards to make it seem normal. I don't know. Yeah. But then he has to listen to that guy call him a demon monkey, which is just priceless. Demon monkey? A demon monkey?
But then by the end, you're wondering maybe if he's coming around to it, he's like, demon monkey. I could work with this.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, that would be my personal sigil.
Yes. Should I ever be in a position to bank on my own name and not that of my Lannister family? Demon monkey. Yes, this could work.
House demon monkey. That's good. We fling our poo at you, sir. So after Tyrion gets a hold of the defense of King's Landing, we can move on to Jon Snow, maybe? You want to talk about Jon Snow?
Yeah, we can talk about Jon Snow and his time warp. Let's do the time warp again.
Yes, because apparently the Fist of the First Men is right next to Craster's.
Yeah, they were camping at Craster's, as you said, for like a month, and then suddenly they're halfway across the northern expanse. Like, what's going on? I think that was more a function of Jon Snow having long periods in his timeline where nothing happens, and so if we're gonna just see kind of the good parts, he has to sort of be lurching either ahead or behind, where everyone else's story is.
Right, but it's a lot of like chatting with Sam and all that stuff that they're kind of cutting out.
Yeah,
it's disappointing because their relationship is is important to me as a fan. I like that. I would take that over, maybe even Tyrion and Bronn. But, whatever. I'll take what I can get. And I like that they finally met up with Qhorin Halfhand, who is a BAMF if there ever was one.
Okay. And that was the guy who wanted to take a small crew of rangers to go investigate?
Yes. To take out the Watchers so that they can possibly assassinate Mance Rayder.
Yes. Well, I thought that was very sweet of Sam to be like, hey, Jon Snow, I can do the steward work and you can go be a ranger like you really wanted. Go for it, buddy. Go on. And that was really sweet. I'm like, oh, Sam.
I could do more work than I'm doing.
Yeah. He's a good friend. And I guess away from the constraints of the wall, Lord Commander Mormont doesn't have maybe the same impetus to keep Jon in a more politically acceptable position. He's like, you know what, this dude he's meant to be a ranger, so fuck it. Okay, go on.
Well, there's that, and the fact that working with Qhorin Halfhand is good experience, and that Jon wanted to, and that Jon has proven himself to be a good warrior and to make good decisions, and Mormont kind of owes him that, at least, to say, okay, well, this one mission, because you saved my life and killed a white and did all this awesome stuff, okay.
Yeah. Although that was pretty hilarious. He's like, you killed a white, but you also let an old man beat you and take your sword, so don't forget it.
But that didn't happen, so it's fine.
You mean in the books?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good reminder. Because
he was not knocked unconscious.
And his sword was not taken from him.
So, what do you think is going to happen with Qhorin Halfhand? Because we're just going deeper and deeper into the snow.
I expect to meet some. What were those big snow monsters that everyone in the
pumpkins
in the Empire Strikes Back run around on? I don't know.
Helawampa?
Yeah, I want to see one of them. That's what I want to see.
I just thought it was interesting that they reminded the viewers yet again that one horn means rangers coming back, 2 for foe, and 3 for White Walkers.
Yes, I agree that because they put it in there as like a throwaway, oh, isn't Sam being silly? Look at Sam with all his stupid book learning that no one's ever going to need, but yet at the same time, you're absolutely right. That is what's called foreshadowing.
Yes. It's like, hunker down, kids. It's going to get good.
Yes. And Sam's going to be the only one who doesn't piss himself when he hears the third horn. He'll be like, I told you, motherfuckers. I told you it would happen.
Do you want to go across to, are we done with Jon Snow? Is there anything else? I did want to say one thing. I was bitching because I thought that Ghost was missing, and it was pointed out to me that I'm just blind and Ghost is white.
Oh, I didn't see Ghost either. But
yeah, he was there.
But I don't necessarily take that to mean that he's missing, because Ghost doesn't have to be in every Jon Snow shot for me to think Ghost is there.
Yeah, so. Ghost is often out hunting for his own food.
Exactly. It's not like the Rangers are carrying enough food for him to eat. So, well, okay. So, speaking of things that we expect to happen, can we talk about Theon's little smirk?
Yeah, we can. I want you to tell me what you think that means, because I obviously know what it means.
Right. Or do you? The show could change it. No,
they're not going to change it. They're not going to change this.
I did love the knockdown on Theon. Like,
oh yeah, Arya being like, whoa, excuse me.
Yeah.
Hold up, we're so afraid.
Yes, that was hilarious. Well, because Theon was also like trying to give orders like he's got a big dick. He's like, oh, look at me, I'm the fucking,
I'm gonna kill you. And it's like it's like he consistently forgets what it's like to be, from Pike, to be.
Yeah.
Because these guys are not like, oh, my lord, I pledge myself to you, like Brienne is doing to Cat.
Right.
These guys are like, oh, fuck, yeah, I'll work and pillage and get my take.
Yeah. It's basically, it really is, as the sister pointed out, you haven't proved anything to them. I have. So, of course, they're going to follow me. They're not going to follow you.
Yeah.
And so I always love seeing him get knocked down. But I guess I was the first mate who said, a true Iron Islander doesn't do what he's told, he does what he wants. And then and then of course, he has to suggest something to Theon, but Theon jumps on it, and he's like, oh, well, we could go attack that, but then the men from Winterfell will come, that's their bannerman, they'll defend them, and then he's like, but that would mean, and he stops. I'm assuming the fill in the blank is that would mean Winterfell is undefended. And so then when Bran has the dream about the sea coming to Winterfell and overrunning the walls, I was like, okay, that was a little bit unsubtle. Like, it was not for the
A little bit unsubtle, but it does say something about Theon's sort of character arc. And
yeah, and it also says something about Bran, if that's what happens, that he's not just having dreams, that his dreams are either prophecies or him being in the mind of his wolf or the raven. So
yeah, let's not bullshit. Bran is not just like having dreams, right? I think we know
exactly.
This is a fantasy book.
Yeah.
Bran's having prophetic dreams. Bran has special powers.
Yeah, and so that just makes Theon, God, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I know, right? What do you think Rob's gonna think about that?
I think Rob's gonna kill Theon. That's what I think. Because
be like, wait, what? I sent you off to get me help, and you go and you attack my home?
Yeah, and then he's gonna be like, wow, my father should have just killed you, like the snake you are.
Oh, poor Theon. He just makes poor decisions.
Well, look, I understand, in a way, I understand Theon's ethos, which is he wants to have his family, and he wants to have the respect of his family and to be one of them, and he feels like this is a way to prove himself. And in a way, it's cleverly done. He actually knows Winterfell in and out. He was raised there.
But there's one thing that Winterfell doesn't have.
Is a lot of loot, or money, or forgiveness.
Or water at all.
Yeah. There's not going to be any quick escape on the ships. There's going to be every man on a horse from Winterfell riding after you to kill you.
Right. So they go to Moat Cailin, and like that's near the water. That makes sense. That's what the strength of his men are. And he's got this sort of personal vendetta to want to feel like a real Stark, or to get back at the family that was never his real family.
Right.
Is it a good idea to say, okay, seaborn men, let's hike 100 miles into the wilderness and attack a fortress?
No, not really. If he had 30 ships worth of men, maybe.
Well, right, and Asha does. So I wonder what she's going to do when she gets word of his plans.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I personally hope that Bran's dream is a warning and not a prophecy, and he can be thinking about how do we defend Winterfell against the sea. Oh, hey, Theon. Ass.
Except that the only person he told was, like, the girl hauling the potatoes.
Yeah, his female sidekick. Apparently all the Starks have one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because at this point, some of the Stark bannermen have come to Winterfell, the Reeds. Mm-hmm. And there's two of them, two little kids. Well, they're not little kids. I'd say they're probably like 16 and 13 or 14. Significantly older than Bran, but still kids. A brother and sister pair, and they sort of kind of are weird and mysterious, and they sort of attach themselves to Bran. And the brother, who's the younger one, named Jaqen, he's into green seeing and prophetic dreams and the old gods and all this stuff. So he's sort of telling Bran what all this stuff means, what the three-eyed crow is, and all these other things. So it's interesting when you're reading the book because you're finding out with Bran what is happening to him. Mm-hmm. It's not so much him just sort of being this weird, creepy kid telling things to Osha, and then Osha being like, yep, I've heard of that beyond the wall where I don't have an education and I don't know shit.
But people beyond the wall believe things.
They believe things. It's true. They believe all sorts of things, including there was a great GIF on Tumblr where people were saying they took that shot where she's like, people beyond the wall believe all sorts of things, and then it cuts to Sam being like, this is great. This is beautiful. I like it here. It's like, great. Yep.
Well, Tyrion didn't even have to go beyond the wall to start believing in things. So there is something about the vasty nothingness that makes people go bibbledy. Yeah, let's be honest. Well, we had some choice Rickon moments there.
He is my favorite. I'm sorry, Rickon forever. If I could get a Rickon tattoo, I would get one right now.
I know you said you don't like keeping up with people's fake names, but can we just rename Rickon Bam Bam? Because
Bam Bam, yeah.
Bam Bam Stark.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know if Rickon knows his name. I'm not sure Rickon can speak. I think Rickon just communicates in grunts.
Yeah, he's a spiller.
He is, he's a spiller. And I have a feeling that he talks more to Shaggy Dog than he talks to people.
Yes. Maybe Rickon's the autistic Stark. I don't know.
The autistic Stark. There was this great little video that was on HBO Go that was like behind the episode, and the producers were like, oh yeah, you can tell that Rickon is just having a really hard time dealing with the fact that his parents left, and he can't be as logical about it as Bran because he's so young, so he's just angry. And I'm like, that really? I don't think so.
That's what you think that was saying? Because I thought that was Rickon's just being a kid who likes to bang on shit and cause trouble.
Yeah, it's like, no, Rickon's like a totally feral little child, and he has always been so since the first episode, in which he's like clapping as people are hitting each other, and he's like, ha!
And Catelyn's all, my youngest, they need me. You're like, honey, I think Rickon needed you a lot longer than you think. Like, he needed you before you left. What's going on?
It's like what happens when you run out of chromosomes. There's no more, so they just have Rickon, and Rickon is just mostly like fur and spit.
Well, you were telling me about how in the books Rickon's even crazier than he is here. Like, he lives sleeps down in the crypts with Shaggy Dog and talks about seeing his like dead father and shit.
Yeah,
I kind of hope they get into that, and because that just it makes it even weirder. And then you're like, wait, is that him having prophetic dreams that Catelyn's bringing?
That's interesting, because you see that happen nearly the same time that in timeline wise that Catelyn has the bones, that they come into her possession.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's implied that maybe Rickon has some of the same abilities as Bran.
Yeah, which kind of just makes me wonder what's wrong with Sansa. I mean, I guess Arya really hasn't started exhibiting any of these.
Well, she doesn't have her wolf with her, so
that's true. She doesn't have Nymeria, and she certainly didn't bond well with the cats Syrio had her chasing. But maybe that's a sign. She was chasing cats who, quite naturally and enthusiastically. But yeah, what the fuck is wrong with Sansa? Is it because Lady got killed, or was Lady killed because Sansa's not a proper Stark?
Right, or she's just, it skipped Sansa. She doesn't have the ability.
Yeah.
We're not sure at this point whether or not Robb has that ability. Me saying that is.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a poke, but.
Maybe Grey Wind is just the best dog ever.
Except the name's Grey Wind, which always makes me think of just farting.
That would be Brown Wind.
Yeah, it could be Grey. Grey's fine. I mean, they didn't have our hearty diet that we have now.
Yeah, I guess if you're living on, gruel in the depths of like the 10th year of winter, it probably is turning gray at that point.
I know. I just think it's funny. It says something about them, the way that they named their dogs. And I don't even think that in the show that Bran has even named Summer.
Yeah.
Like, he's just the wolf. Bran's wolf. I don't even know if Rickon is officially called Shaggy Dog. Shaggy Dog. It's kind of frustrating because the way that they name their wolves says something about their deepest personalities. And Rickon, Shaggy Dog. I mean, that just makes fucking sense. I mean, it's Shaggy Dog. Wow. Like, that's all he's capable of saying.
Well, in human company. We don't know what he says to Shaggy Dog when we're not there to watch.
It's probably like creepy demon shit. I don't know. Rickon's my favorite. I don't know what you're talking about. He's my favorite. But speaking of weird prophetic shit, let's go to Karth.
Yes, and the lady in the mask who apparently her entire purpose in the story is just to walk up and say vaguely threatening things and then walk off again.
That's so funny too, because one, I thought she looked kind of cray-cray. It's like she's described as wearing a wooden lacquer mask, and all you can see are her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not. I guess I'm not that imaginative, and I just figured that she would have like a face.
Yeah, like maybe the old kind of Venetian style mask or something.
Like a fake face. But
Mm-hmm.
She looked like something out of The Cell.
Yeah, no, her mask was awesome. I'm kind of like, do I have time to learn how to work leather before Halloween? Because I would love that for Halloween. That's awesome.
Well, it's actually supposed to be wood, so it might even be easier. Maybe you could get like little tiny tiles for like
just like balsa wood or something.
Yeah.
Over like some muslin. That could work. But yeah, that was a fucking badass mask. It was amazing.
It was crazy looking.
Yeah, that's why it was so awesome, because it was creepy and threatening.
It was like Spider-Man with wood. It was just weird.
Then her dress, she was like, oh, bam, I'm sexy. What? Yeah, you can't see my face, but I'm sexy.
But yeah,
what?
Quaithe. Her name is Quaithe.
Okay.
Which is kind of an unfortunate name, but that is her name.
Yeah, it is a very unfortunate name.
And her whole fucking purpose is to show up, be mysterious, say something vaguely prophetic. And like not just vaguely prophetic, but like really complicated with lots of information. Like write that shit down. The fact that she just kind of says it and wanders off. I always think this whenever I'm reading stories where people receive a prophecy that they have to sort of remember later on. Like, how do I remember that? Because when people tell me shit, I remember like the first part or maybe like a little bit in the middle. But the wording is important.
No, exactly. I agree completely. Like all the fucking prophecies, I'm like, unless all those people in Harry Potter were doing what Dumbledore did and putting him in the
Well, that makes sense. That's like, okay, I get it. That's how they get around not being able to remember shit, because they just watch their memories.
Again, yeah, but otherwise it's just like I'll try and remember it if, even a chapter later I'll be like, what did that say again? And I kind of remember the gist, but I don't remember all of it. And then you're like, whoa, how come you don't have more stories about people like completely fucking shit up because they misremembered, the phrase of that prophecy?
Right, and this is where you get into the nitty-gritty of the fandom, right? Because at this point now we've got a lot of actual prophecies swimming around, and we just start getting more and more and more prophecies. And a lot of people spend a lot of time figuring out what prophecy, pertains to whom and what it actually means. And then, like, once you get to some of the later books, which prophecies have been fulfilled, which ones we're still waiting on. And it's kind of like a full-time job. Like, whenever I am done with a book, I go to the websites and people start listing all the prophecies from that book, and then like all the prophecies from the last few books that are still extant. And then it's like, okay, well, can you figure this out? Oh, this is this, and this is this person, and this is clearly this person because of this, and this, and on page 12, and this guy breathes funny, and it's like you go absolutely insane.
And here's what's funny. I don't even fucking remember what she said.
Yeah, right?
I just remember it was like vague and mysterious and maybe portentous, and she was in an awesome mask, and Jorah was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You're screwed now. You're screwed. Because you're not going to know shit. All this stuff's going to happen, and people are going to be like, duh, remember Quaithe? And you're going to be like, who?
I'll remember Quaithe. I'll just be like, oh, was that what she said? Oh, shit. Well, if I know that, I'd stick my dick in the mashed potatoes.
But no, and this is the best part. And well, not the best part, but this is the most frustrating part. Sometimes prophecies come to pass and are fulfilled, and you think that like something magical is going to happen. It's going to be like when the beast is changed into a human, and there's like lights and shit's going on, and you're like, okay, this is being fulfilled. No, it's going to be like, what? That was fulfilled when? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's going to be like Dany hires a pirate ship to take her across the sea, and then you're like, wait, that was it? That was lame.
Speaking of,
Xaro. Yeah. Now we see what his ulterior motive was.
Which is it's kind of the same ulterior motive in the show that it was in the books, but in the books, Xaro is gay.
Ooh. That makes it much more interesting.
And he's all, marry me, Khaleesi, and I will give you a fleet of ships. And she's like, well, what do I have to give you? And he says, a dragon.
Oh.
And then she says, well, one, I'm not giving you a dragon, and two, you're gay, so you would never fulfill me. Because right now, Dany's really into being fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Well,
she's got these two handmaidens, and she's always going at her handmaidens. They're always, like, waking up in the middle of the night, like, oh, may I service you? And then they do. It's really weird. Because it's only one-sided.
Oh, like actual, like, sexy time service you?
Yes. Huh. Which is kind of funny, because instead of doing that, they just made her handmaidens just bitch at each other, which...
Yeah, and like, she's a Khaleesi! She's a princess! Remember Khal Drogo? He'd ride forever in the Nightlands. Think of all the hot poon you can get on the side now that you're not married to Khal Drogo anymore. Like...
You should wear this. It'll be sexy. It's very Mean Girls. Mm-hmm. You should wear this. I think it'll look good. No! She shouldn't wear that. Not cool.
She should keep wearing her tattered ass Dothraki clothing, even though she's not actually Dothraki, and we're not in Dothrak anymore. Oh wait, you're right. You should wear the silk.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe she could give her servants some better clothes too.
Yeah.
They've been fucking around in their shit for a while too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like Carrie. She reminded me of that scene in Kindergarten Cop. She's like, I'm not a princess, I'm a Khaleesi. I'm not a princess, I'm a Khaleesi. Like, oh, yeah. And then she storms off. She's like, I'm gonna go have a quiet time. And you feel like that Doria is kind of a bitch. And Doria's actually dead in the book at this point, so I'm kind of like, whatever. She can.
Yeah. Yeah, she's well, you know, hey, we didn't have any Raws, speaking of expendable characters.
It was at the first episode ever without Raws.
Without Raws? Yeah, but
it was like the first episode ever without any, like, random boob sex.
Oh my goodness, there weren't any boobies, were there? No, there were none.
No boobies.
Wow, maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Maybe that was a reaction to the SNL skit. Like, oh man, remove the boobies.
Take them out. No, I think it was probably more that, as you suggested early, that this maybe is a breaking point episode, and this is where we figure out if you're into the show or if you were just watching it for the boobies, and they're like, we don't need to keep putting them in because the people that are into it, they're in. Like,
right.
We don't have to.
I mean, I could do with less boobs, to be honest. It's kind of a love-hate relationship because I'm a feminist. I don't want to be like, boobs are bad. We should hide boobs. Boobs will make you evil. Like, I don't think that. But at the same time, I don't think that we should just have superfluous boob for no reason.
See, I'm a little different. I'm like, if we're going to have superfluous boob, just give me superfluous shirtless Gendry.
Yeah,
well,
that, we could get shirtless Gendry, so pants Jamie, you don't care, you want pantsless Jamie. Do you know how weird dudes in shirts and no pants look? That's never sexy.
But as long as it's equitable, I'm fine with any arrangement they want to put. But then I don't want the whole show to be, people running around pantless or shirtless and boobies and penises and buttocks hanging out. Like, that would be boring. I want it to be an actual show. So
yeah, because as long as it has something to do with the plot, then I'm all right with it. Then it's cool. Then it's like, whether or not it's like a romantic situation or an embarrassing situation or like a scary kind of like whatever. But as long as it serves some kind of fucking purpose.
Yes, Bran seeing.
Although I don't know if Gendry
did together. That served purpose. The whole incident with the whores and Joffrey's birthday present, like, that served a purpose. But shirtless Gendry maybe didn't serve much purpose.
Yeah, maybe it didn't, but I'm not gonna complain about it.
No. We have a lot more man boobies that we have to see before we start feeling like
it's funny too, because I've definitely seen that kid naked a lot because I watched Skins and he was on that show. And he was definitely naked running around, because all the kids on that show were naked. And actually, he was on Skins, and the girl that played Gilly is on Skins. Like a little
callback.
And they're all like, oh, yay. So, back to Zaro, saying that she...
Yes, and I'm very glad that she had the little heart-to-heart with Ser Jorah afterward.
Are you glad that he finally kind of spilled his guts and then she gave him the stank eye? Because that hurts me.
I didn't feel like that's what she did. I kind of felt like she was like, I can't afford.
She was horrified.
Was she?
She's like, oh my God, the old guy is coming on to me. Oh my God.
Oh, see, that's not what maybe that's what Danny was thinking in the books. That's not how I took it. I took it as her being like, I don't know what to do with this, kind of, that's why this guy is still here.
Well, no, it's that. Yeah, because now she's questioning why he's with her and why he advises her. Is he advising her because he can be trusted, or does he want in her pants?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that sense, but I don't know. I tend to be a little more romantic. I took it as she was just like, I'm too young to understand how to deal with a declaration of devotion, but I didn't take it as her being unflattered by it or not liking it. She was just like, oh shit, I don't know what to do with this, so I'm just going to be proper and pretend like I don't know what he's really saying, but not like I'm horrified by it so much as I don't know what to do with it. Like, she knows, she just doesn't know what she wants, maybe.
Yeah, I think Jorah basically shot himself in the foot because she knows his game now. Like, there's always like that friend that you have that's in the friend zone, but he like refuses to know he's in the friend zone, and then he kind of like does something he shouldn't, and you're like, I can't pretend anymore that I don't know what you mean. That's what he's done. He's gone too far, and now she's going to have to push him away, which is sad because I think she's so young and she's so alone that he really serves a purpose for her, and he's grounding, and he is actually helpful. Mm-hmm. And now, because she is a queen and a Khaleesi and all, and has to be proper, she can't let this guy get too close and take too many liberties. Mm-hmm. So she's going to have to push him away, which is sad because she needs advisors right now.
And people she can trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that kind of is sad. But at least if
he just needs to clean his yellow shirt, put it on, and just kind of look pretty. See what happens.
Maybe shave a little closer. But actually, I say that like I mind how he looks. No, he's perfectly fine with his rugged, unshavenness.
He's definitely hotter on Game of Thrones than he is on Downton Abbey.
I cannot comment.
Oh man, I lost it when he was on Downton. I was like, Jorah's on Downton Abbey. And it's funny because he kind of plays a bad guy. And I'm always like, whatever, it's Jorah. He's cool. I like him.
So Jorah's not a bad guy. What are you talking about? Good times. Yeah, no, but I appreciate that she still listened to him, because I don't think that marrying Zaro would have been a good move for her. And I don't, for exactly the reason he said, if a rich man gives you a fleet, then he owns you.
Exactly. And what would he take in payment but one of her precious dragons? Definitely. That's her only claim to power at this point, so she has to be careful.
Or even if he set her up as the queen, he would be the king, and that's not what she wants.
Do you really think that if she goes to Westeros right now that she would be able to gather support?
No, not at all, which is also why part of me, I understand that she doesn't have any real sense of what's going on, but part of me also sort of wondered why she was naive enough to think that it might be a good idea, with her still living completely on the hospitality of strangers, and she doesn't have anything of her own, and she's not, like, she might have her dragons, but they're still babies. They're just learning how to feed themselves now. Like, honey, you wait 10 years, and then your dragons are going to be grown, and
but she's so young, and when you're that young, 10 years, that's just impossible.
Seems like forever.
Yeah.
I'll be 24. I'll be so old.
I'll be just as old as Jorah. Jorah will be dead by then.
Right.
Sometimes she is very young. Sometimes she's like, Dany is that girl that puts the poster of like Justin Bieber on the wall, and everyone is just kind of like, Justin Bieber? Except that for Dany, Justin Bieber is more like, I don't know, who's an inappropriately young but like huge guy?
Joffrey? In Westeros speak, I mean.
Oh, well, no, I'm just thinking because, like, she likes, I'm thinking, like, Khal Drogo type guys. Like, that's her type, is Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
That's like a type, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just funny. It's funny because you'd think that she'd go for Zorro if he was straight, but him being gay in the book is
kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean.
But I don't know. I feel like Jorah is misadvising her because, don't take Zorro's offer because that's shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I'll just get you a ship and we'll leave and we'll go to Westeros and then people will kill us.
Yeah, that's also kind of a bad idea. And that's also a bad idea.
Like, Stannis will just be like, no.
Yeah, my red woman will stop you at the gates.
Like, kill that shit right now. There's nobody that would look at a Targaryen hitting the shores of Westeros right now and support her. And it's like she's totally forgetting what she learned from Viserys when he was told, oh, there's all these people that drink to you. And it's like, no one drinks to you because the peasants don't care. The peasants just want to, like, wake up and, like, farm and go to bed.
Yeah, and I think in some ways she is still suffering from the Viserys upbringing that she had, where she...
Well, although Crazy Eyes in that episode were so good. There were so many Crazy Eyes.
Yeah, she did get... Well, that's the thing. She was channeling him. She's like, no, it's mine by right. I am the queen. And you're like, Khaleesi, can we calm down? Can we take it back a notch and actually realize that someone else has been sitting on the Iron Throne for close to 20 years now, and they don't remember you. They never even knew your name. You were a bun in the oven when the queen left. They might not even believe that you're a Targaryen. Just saying.
Right. I mean, yeah, she's got the hair, but let's assume that can be faked.
Yeah, exactly. And so until you ride in on the back of a dragon and then stand in its flame and emerge unscathed, they're probably not going to believe you when you say that you're
I just feel like going to Westeros when your dragons aren't
fully grown is just a bad idea all
really
around.
Bad idea. I think she should be focusing on finding a place to, like, hide out until then.
Yes, just find a place to settle for good, 5, 10, 15 years and bide your time, build an army, Yeah.
Oh, I feel like Jorah just wants to go home.
Well, but what does Jorah have to go home to? He's still in exile. He's still, maybe have they heard about Robert Baratheon's death yet?
Yes. She knows.
So maybe he's like, well, with Baratheon dead, I can go home because the price on my head's lifted.
Well, I think it's more that Ned Stark is dead because Ned Stark is the one who exiled him.
Yeah, for slave trading. That was... Yeah, we can't forget that.
And we can't forget that his dad is on the wall, so he does have, land to inherit and to take over.
This is true. Yeah, so he's got...
Does that blow your mind a little that his dad is the Lord Commander? Does that blow your mind a little?
Maybe a little, because they are so very different.
I don't know, I'm always like, whoa.
I mean, talk about rebelling against your parents.
Well, Mormont, I guess he's on the wall because he served King Aerys. That's why I'm going to assume that he's on the wall. Yeah,
and his choice was exile or death, and he chose exile.
Right.
And then, his son's choice was exile or death for a different reason, a different offense. I think, I
don't know. I don't think Ned Stark gave him a choice. I think he ran. I think he ran? I'd have to look that up. I don't remember. It just doesn't seem like a Ned Stark thing to do.
Well, I suppose...
Maybe because he was a lord, he gave him that choice. But if he was a common, I would assume he would have killed him.
Absolutely. Well, there's also the whole... The knowing that Ned Stark is coming for you. You're like, well, Ned Stark's going to kill me if he finds me. So, in a way, that's Ned giving him a choice.
Uh-huh.
And that if, Ned... let it be known that he was on his way, but it's less explicit, I guess.
So a lot happened. You got a lot of info for this episode, but we're at the midway point, so hopefully everything is awesome from here on out. No more setting things up.
Yeah, well, honestly, this was a really complicated episode when I was looking back at everything, all the storylines that actually got brought in. I'm like, man, last week there were like 5 things to talk about, and this week it was like 8. That's a lot. But
and we didn't even get everybody. We had no Joffrey. We only got a moment of Sansa out the window, and also a reminder that Myrcella's been promised to Dorne.
Yes, and apparently that actually is legitimate. And yeah, that's.
Oh, and also we didn't talk about Loras and Marjorie.
Oh yes, and her strangely charged moment with Littlefinger. Yeah.
Well, so you thought that was between her and Littlefinger, because I'm just trying to think that Littlefinger is always looking for angles.
Yeah, Littlefinger is always scheming, and I don't know that was necessarily a sexual moment, but when she's like, if Renly wasn't really a king, I'm not really a queen.
But she wants to be the queen.
The queen. And Littlefinger just got this look on his face, and he's just like totally calculating, and you could see he was just totally reevaluating her. He's like, wait a minute.
Right, but what does that mean? Think about it. Think about it, Elena.
I don't know.
Well, what would she need to do in order to be the queen? With the options that she has now.
With the options that she has now, she would need somebody who would marry her to be the king.
Uh-huh.
Is she going to...
Who does Littlefinger work for?
Yeah, is she going to go ask Joffrey to toss off Sansa? Or is she's just going to be with Littlefinger, be like, hey, how about this? We bide our time, and when we know who it's going to be, then my house and my father and his, 1,000 knights will pledge their troth to whoever, is probably going to win anyway, and I'll be the queen, but it'll look like we helped them win, and, that'll be awesome, and you'll get Harrenhal.
Right. Well, the thing is she's not going to go for Robb, right? You're not going to see her and Loras go off north looking to support Robb.
Oh, hell no.
That's just not going to happen. So that brings it back to Stannis. Not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Joffrey. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Sansa better, get ready. Yeah. I don't know if she's got the chops to handle Cersei and Marjorie at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if she does either. That'll be an interesting battle.
Because I feel like Marjorie, I think this was a point made in the little behind the scenes video, but Marjorie is like Cersei, but sane.
Mhm.
So she's definitely not something to be trifled with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Marjorie. I'm always, they've expanded her role a lot. We get to see her a lot more than in the book, so I'm always happy.
Yeah, well, she continues to fascinate me and surprise me. I think I probably looked at her with the same expression Littlefinger had, so, that was good.
Yeah, I know. It's good that it's funny that she recognized enough of a kindred spirit in Littlefinger to tell the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she didn't have to. I mean, she could have just been go away. I'm going to go scheme and plot with my own. But she recognized an opportunity.
Or she could have played extremely naive and, my family put me up to this, or, oh, I'm so sad that my chivalrous knightly dreams are broken. But she didn't. She was like...
No, yeah, she could have just been like, my king is dead. Because she had always been... I mean, she had already had that stupid conversation with Littlefinger where she's like, my king is my husband and my husband is my king. And then he died and she didn't even look at him when he was dead. Loras is just staring at him, willing him to come back to life. And Marjorie is just like, whatever, don't care.
I'm filing my nails. I don't
That opportunity is over. Move on.
Yes.
But that also is another point of contention for some of the fans. They were mad that Loras wasn't more emotional.
Loras was fucking crying.
He was crying, but he wasn't freaking out. He wasn't tearing at things. He wasn't pulling a Brienne. But whatever. He's a knight. He know. And there's a guy standing there that he doesn't know.
Yeah. And also, I mean, if you have everybody who gets mad in Westeros, throw a table or something, you're kind of like, what the fuck? Is this the Real Housewives? It's not.
Well, if it is the Real Housewives, then Loras is the queen, right? He's the lead. He's that one.
He's the queen bitch, yes.
Poster.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, but No, I actually thought it was much more touching that he wasn't having any bigger emotional display, that his grief was simply like that he was like, I cannot do anything except sit here and cry. Like he was just like you could just, because if you're angry, there's still a passion there. And to me, like the fact that he didn't even have that, it was like his life had become a gray wind of, nothingness, like all the things that gave him joy and that made his life, like gave him a future to look forward to, have been gone. He just was deflated. And
yeah, they died with Renly. And that's nice and poetic. We open with Renly's death and we can close with his death.
Yeah, bookend it. So yeah, so we'll see y'all next week. That wraps us up for this episode. Thanks for listening. Come back next week, and always remember to ask, more wine, sir?